Update. My 30 male wedding is 22 days away. I have been no contact with my dad's wife, both 60s, because she refused to apologize. He just told me he's not coming. How can I salvage this? Original post. My stepmom, Debbie, is a narcissist. She has been awful to my sister, 28 female, and me since they got together 18 years ago, and my dad has only enabled her. It's 100% an abusive relationship. She is extremely controlling and horrible to him as well. 2 years ago on my birthday, she brought up something traumatic she did to me years before, and bragged about it to say that her mistreating me is the reason I'm successful. I was angry. I worked with my psychiatrist to write a letter explaining my hurt and telling her that while I want a relationship with her, I will need an apology to move forward. She sent a letter back blaming me for a bunch of stuff from when I was a kid to justify her ill treatment and refusing to apologize. My response was, I'm sorry. I can't have a relationship if you don't respect me enough to apologize. My email inbox is open should you choose to apologize, but this is a hard boundary. Do not call, text, etc. Since then, the only communication has been her attempts to ambush me by picking up my dad's phone when I call him, leaving me aggressive voicemails and texts, or having my dad pressure me to meet her in person. I suffer from anxiety, and direct contact with her would only trigger an attack. About a month ago, she stole my dad's phone, read through our private conversation, then texted me from his phone. My dad, understandably angry, said he wanted a divorce, and that same day she finally did email me one sentence. I am sorry for hurting your feelings on your birthday. I responded also with one line, I appreciate the apology. Then, nada again, from either of them. My dad left town to get some space. As I mentioned, my wedding is in 22 days, and my dad emailed me 2 days ago with a long, insulting letter. Too much to type out, but the highlights are, boundaries are rude, and I'm selfish. My psychiatrist is a joke. Debbie has been punished enough, so get over it. How dare I only send one line back to Debbie's email? Debbie's the real victim. And how dare I not invite his wife to my wedding? Plus the exact sentence, obviously I'm not coming to your wedding. To be clear, I've heard most of these brought up over the past 2 years and have addressed them with him, but he just dismisses me as being angry and vindictive. Basically, as usual, he wants me to just make peace at the expense of my mental health while never holding Debbie accountable. I'm in a healthy headspace thanks to my psychiatrist and incredible fiancé. I know that my boundary is healthy and no amount of guilt tripping will make me feel bad about setting it. But how can I respond? Despite my intense anger over the letter, I still want him, but not her, at my wedding. I love my dad, and I'm so sad that one simple boundary is apparently enough to end our relationship. Edited to add, I feel like the letter was a trap. Either I cave to her and they both come, or I tell him no and it proves all they say about me and justifies him not coming. The letter wasn't sent by Debbie, although it has her fingerprints all over it. My sister confirmed my dad did, but she's on team make peace, it's tearing dad apart. That deserves another post. One thing I didn't mention, in the letter he said he doesn't want to come because how am I supposed to explain why my wife isn't there? Well, how am I supposed to explain he isn't there? It's mind-boggling. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I think you know they have made their choice. Why would you want them in your life if they cause you so much distress and they clearly don't respect you? Count it as them doing you a favor. They shouldn't ruin your wedding day and you are literally letting them. Your wedding day isn't about them. It's about you and your partner. Yep, it's time to go no contact with dear old enabler dad. These people will only get worse with old age. Then add grandkids in the mix and they will be even more of a nightmare. Hey Opie, may I suggest you read Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents? It's a relatively short book and you can get a free PDF online by Googling it. It has a lot of practical affirming advice for understanding and navigating exactly these kinds of relationships. I've also been in therapy for years and still found the book really useful and insightful. Hopefully you will too. Take care. I will look into it. Thanks for sharing. Sounds very helpful. Honestly, you're being way too dismissive of your dad's actions. He's hurting you and he knows it. He's hoping that if he hurts you enough, you'll cave. Tell him you're sorry to hear that, but that you understand and will send pictures if he wants. Oof, this got me good. You're right, although I hate to admit it. And no, he doesn't get anything from me if he doesn't come. It's unforgivable and I won't have a relationship with him. Hey bro, let me tell you a little bit about my story. My daughter is from my first marriage and my current wife and her do not get along. At all. My wife has told me numerous times, I'll find something to do. You go see her. She's your daughter. And I do. I know you're not a woman, but I hope you still get my point. Yep, and he is so afraid of her that he actively lies or hides when we would see each other, both then and now. She'd get mad if he took my sister and me out to dinner when we were young, for spending her money since she was the breadwinner. So my dad would do it while she traveled for business and would pay cash so she wouldn't know. Even through this issue, we'd only ever meet for lunch and pay cash. He said, I feel like I have a mistress, and wasn't aware enough to see how messed up that is. I grew up in a similar situation, and the first thing I want to say is your father does not deserve a pass just because he didn't mistreat you in the same ways his wife did. He 100% allowed his child to be mistreated and did nothing. That is not acceptable without an apology. You should be incredibly proud of yourself for setting this boundary and for fighting your way to better mental health. I suffer from anxiety as a result of my father's and stepmother's upbringing, and I can truly appreciate the amount of growth it takes to claw your way to the other side of this. I think the toughest reality I've had to face as an adult, processing a traumatic, emotionally abusive upbringing from my stepmother, is that my father allowed it to happen. My father is very much bullied into submission by his wife, as you explained yours is, but that doesn't excuse anything. He made a choice then to not fight for his daughter, and now, even worse, he's aiding his wife in trying to emotionally tear you down. You don't need that in your life, bro. I got caught in the trap, for a long time, of believing my father was just trying his best and wasn't malicious in his intentions. But I now own the fact that thinking like that is what manipulators and narcissists prey on. He failed to protect his child from ongoing emotional mistreatment. That isn't forgivable without an apology, without some semblance of ownership. What is different about your stepmother's doing compared to your father's allowing it to happen? I'd say there's a ton of catharsis in owning how angry you deserve to be at your father, and you shouldn't get a free pass into one of the best days of your life if he can't prove he cares enough about you to stand up for you. He's complicit in this situation too. This is my favorite reply. Thank you for sharing. It's shocking how similar it sounds, and anytime I brought up to him how my anxiety stems from Debbie, it was dismissed. But it really did, and the way my dad taught me to deal with that was just to keep the peace at all costs, bend over backwards for Debbie, to make her happy because he's too afraid to stand up to her. I used to give him the benefit of the doubt too. Right now, my sister has been saying that type of thing. Don't you feel bad for Dad? He's in a really tough spot. He's really depressed. He's trying. Can you do it for his sake? I mean, he never stood up to her for our sake. Why would I? I'm going to send her your comment. Again, I really appreciate it. You spoke directly to my experience. And now for the update. The fun update is, I got married. My wife, still crazy to say, and I are so happy. And our wedding was the best day, full of the family and friends who love us the most. It was so incredible and full of memories we will cherish together forever. The not fun update is long and there's a lot that happened. Well, I sent back a response to my dad's original letter shortly after posting. I had a lot to say, but I kept it brief on the advice of some. Full text. I'm very hurt that you have chosen not to attend my wedding. However, I'm not surprised that you've once again chosen to appease Debbie's whims over my needs, happiness, and mental health as you've done for nearly 2 decades. It's honestly shocking that one simple boundary and one need for an apology from her is apparently enough to end your and my relationship. But I will respect your choice. We are not inviting drama, dismissiveness, bullying, or manipulation, and we are certainly not going to tolerate anyone who uses our wedding as an opportunity to blackmail us into accepting any of those. That has no place at our wedding, and frankly, in our lives at all. I never got a response. However, he did call my mom, who is awesome by the way, and said the same crap he said in the email from the previous post, which she shut down. She astutely realized he was just trying to manipulate her into getting me to let Debbie come to the wedding. He also had the nerve to say how important his vows were, and double down on his wife being more important. The kicker is, he cheated on my mom while they were married, so I'm not sure why he thought that was smart to say to her. My mom ended with, nothing would keep me away from my child's wedding, and asked him how attending would possibly change his relationship with Debbie. He didn't have an answer. I then sent a quick write-up to family and friends, basically stating that he won't be there and to please not bring it up on the wedding day. Most people were understanding and supportive, but it turned out 2 of my aunts, his sisters, suddenly couldn't make it. Well, my cousin told me my aunts decided not to come in solidarity. So, while I was deciding what to do and trying not to get others involved, my dad and Debbie decided it was better to use that time to poison my family against me. After all of his talk about not putting people in the middle in his letter, he sure had no problem with getting his siblings to boycott my wedding. My cousins were awesome though, and we had an excellent chance to reconnect about this type of BS from our parents and bond. 2 days before the wedding, my dad sent me another email titled, "I come in peace." In it, he confirmed he won't come but said it saddens me to the depth of my soul, and that he wishes there was a way to mend a family. Other than, I guess, attending my wedding? Then he wishes me well and to enjoy my wedding because of how wonderful and important weddings are. Lol. The way it was written made it seem like he wanted to come but couldn't due to extenuating circumstances, which angered me. At the time of the wedding, he was sitting at home 30 minutes away. Too much of a coward to show up. I waited until after the honeymoon to decide whether to respond. After talking with my therapist, I realized I did want to respond because I don't think he understood what missing my wedding meant, and I wanted to make it clear. In it, I said this email was nothing but a self-serving, disingenuous attempt to alleviate his own guilt for skipping it, and that there is no healing from this. Then I said to not contact me again. Fast forward to last week. I got a letter in the mail, no return address. And it was a bunch of letters between us from when I was a child, and a piece of paper that said, "Happy birthday. Don't throw away, your birth certificate and social security card are inside." So I guess that's that. He's wiped his hands off me, but not before going for a last attempt at a guilt trip. I have been working with my therapist through the hurt, anger, and sadness I'm dealing with from being abandoned by my father. I've been very depressed. I'm grieving a loss because I didn't want it to end this way, but he's made his choices. However, I'm thankful to have a great therapist and incredible support from my wife, mom, and friends. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you to everyone for your comments and support. And thanks to my incredible wife for being by my side through everything. Congratulations on your wedding. When we're young, we are sort of trained to think of our parents as infallible/omnipotent. As we get older, it's important to recognize that our parents are people. And most people are messed up with their own problems. And some of their problems are of their own making. Your father sounds like a my way or the highway type, but as you're a grown-up yourself, you get to set your own expectations, boundaries, and consequences of what you're looking to include in your life. And that probably includes letting your dad stick with his lonely highway as he's clearly chosen to do. I'd say you probably don't have anything nice to say to your dad, so silence from here out on might convey the exact message you're looking to send. Yeah, this has unfortunately been my journey over the past few years. Thanks for sharing. Hey Opie. I was in a similar situation a year ago, where my mom's long-term partner said something deeply hurtful and borderline unforgivable to me. I was extremely fortunate to have both of my parents' explicit support and never speaking to or seeing my mom's partner ever again, apology or not. Through extensive long-term therapy, I was able to get to a place where I was able to both hear and accept an honest, genuine apology from her partner and start to mend our relationship. We're in an amazing place now, a full year later. You have always offered this same opportunity of forgiveness through genuine remorse and meaningful change, but Debbie has done nothing to rise to the occasion and deserves no forgiveness or understanding. I was so violently depressed last year. It was also in a grieving process of sorts, even though I was dealt a much easier hand than you were. All this to say, I truly, deeply, with every bone in my body, think you made the right choice in drawing that line for your dad and his wife. I'm so sorry for your loss, and I hope you take your time in grieving and give yourself the grace you deserve. It took me many, many months and an amazing therapist to start to feel like myself again. All I can say is it gets better. And congrats on your marriage, Opie. I hope your wedding was absolutely beautiful. Thanks so much. I am sorry to hear about your depression. It's been a struggle for me as well. I know it will take time to process this. That said, I feel very confident in my decision despite the pain. The pain isn't caused by my decision, but by his. I'm glad you're doing better. Thanks again. You gave him a clear indication of what his choices have resulted and will further result if he keeps making his selfish choices. Now all of this like before is on him. He made his choice now. He's lost his son, and that's on him again. Like you indicated, he's a coward and will die a coward. I respect your assertiveness and willingness to set strict boundaries. You made the right decision in the end. Good luck with all. Thank you. It means a lot. Yes, I know he and Debbie are going to tell everyone who will hear how I'm wrong and mean and selfish and it's all my fault, but really it's on them. And this specifically is on him. They can lie about it all they want. The truth is the truth.